Okay, I know this is a weird question, but I need some help. Story 1. Set up a friend to mug her and steal her wallet with her identification card in it. Chase them down the street to get the wallet back. Take a quick look at the identification card before you give her the wallet back. Story 2. Ask her about her nicknames. Like, hey, did your parents call you something like XYZ while you were growing up? Is it a variation of your name? Share yours as well, or ask for her full name to save her number in your phone. I don't know. Story 3. Ask to see her driver's license or other identification, but in a flirty way. I pulled this off on a fourth date one time because I couldn't remember the guy's name, and I somehow steered the conversation onto ID photos. I pulled out mine to show him, and then he did the same, and we giggled about our ID photos. The only way this wouldn't work is if she doesn't go by her official name. Story 4. When I forget names, I ask them how they spell their name. Sometimes it's so silly, like Michael. Like, oh, how else would you spell it? Silly me. Story 5. Text her next time you get a message saying, sorry, something is wrong with my phone, and I can't see any contacts. I think I must have disabled something. Who is this? Story 6. Just say, you're going to think I'm dumb, but I've been calling you cute nickname in my head this whole time, and I just realized I don't actually remember your real name. Worked for me. Story 7. I'm confused. Under what context have you been talking to her? Do you mean in person? Over the internet? Are you talking to her as in just chatting? Or are you hoping more comes out of this? If it's the latter, why has it been 8 months? Story 8. Here is a bunch of silly ideas that you would probably not read. If you know her in real life, version 1, create a context where you have her meet someone and she has to present herself. Version 2, while chatting, complain about how someone in your family always calls you by your full name when you screwed up and it's instantly weird. Ask her how her family calls her in these cases. Version 3, tried and tested, ask for her old nicknames. Version 4, cute and fun approach, play a game to kill the time. Basics of the game. You each write your name on a piece of paper. Switch papers. Now you each have 2 minutes to write as many words as you can that start with each letter in the person's name. Whoever has the most words wins. -5 points for no words for a letter, 10 points for all words that are original, and 15 points if you both have the same word for a letter. For example, say her name is Lana, leaf, lion, ascot, ant, armadillo, nail, necker, nuts, etc. As many words as come to mind without repeating. Level up. Only objects that would fit in a suitcase. You can figure it out yourself. Make the game as easy or as convoluted as you want. The point is to get her name on a piece of paper. If online acquaintances only, take whatever screen name or email you have of theirs and test your research skills. Everyone has a digital trail these days. If she's into gaming, you can set up an online gaming situation where she has to present herself. If you have her phone number, try SyncMe or some other similar app. It is very creepy but will return the user's name if other folks who have the app have her number. Other odd ideas. 1. Hey, I just found out my name means... Insert name meaning and random facts with enthusiasm. Any idea what your name means? Then do a reverse search based on meaning. 2. Hey, did you know that some names have the same root but sound different in each language? Like Ivan, Hans, Johnny, Juan, Ion, and Yannick are all versions of John. Say, if your name were in a different language, what do you think it would be translated as? Attempt to learn the katakana writing system. Offer to struggle together to understand how your names would equate in Japanese. Say, make sure you offer her some food that she likes as you start this conversation. I have a really good story for you. I swear, it's so stupid and funny, you'll be telling it for years. So, say you knew this idiot who's been talking to you for almost a year, and one day the pea-brain, extreme self-deprecation will make it funny and impossible for her to insult you. Comes up, feeds you, insert food she's eating, and says that he didn't catch your name for all these months. How would you react? Preferably sit to her side for this, so it's most comfortable for calming the brain. Good luck. Story 9. Hey, so I'm a complete dumbass and somehow managed to never ask your name. So, what's your name? I like honesty, and a little self-deprecation can help in these situations. But just a little. Don't go overboard with it. Story 10. If you're in person with her, bring someone along or stage someone to walk by. Say hello to that person and beforehand tell them to introduce themselves to her, and she will most likely say her name in the hello. Story 11. Ask her to spell her name because you want to write it down for something. If she gives you trouble because it's an easy name to spell, point out you never know these days. Alternatively, ask her to send you a link to her Facebook or other social media so you can add her. Or say you have an awesome silly trick you want to show her and tell her to follow along. Say dog once and wait until she says it. Then say cat twice. Again, wait for her to say it. Now say your name 3 times. Get her name. Then say you'll need to call her back because your mom is calling. Wait a day so she forgets you were telling a joke. Story 12. Just say you went to the coffee shop or something and no one could pronounce your name. Laugh and imitate them mispronouncing your name. Then ask what the worst ways people have mispronounced their name. Story 13. Ask her if she has social media accounts like Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter. You might be able to find her name on her profile if it is not already in her username. Story 14. As someone who forgets names very easily, I found a few solutions for something like this. Wait for someone else to say her name. Contrive a reason to ask how to spell it. Find it written down somewhere like a name tag or identification. Story 15. If you're dating, offer to grab the mail for her and check that. If it's work, check the organization chart if you have one. If it's a casual friend, ask to meet at a Starbucks. But go early and order first so she has to order separately and listen intently. Story 16. Introduce her to someone. Before you meet, tell her you cannot remember that person's name. Ask her to introduce herself to save you the embarrassment of admitting you cannot remember their name. When she introduces herself, you will have her name. Story 17. In the middle of a conversation, stop, put on a thoughtful expression, and say, "You know what? I've just realized I never asked you what your name was. Apologies if that was rude of me." Offer your hand for a polite handshake. My name is name, in case I didn't mention it. It's polite, to the point, and apologetic in case they did find it rude you never asked. Story 18. Every time I hear this, I remember the joke. Taking her to Starbucks for a first date because I forgot her name, but really just laugh it off. It's awkward for a grand total of 10 seconds, then you both laugh it off and move on. Hey, this is kind of awkward, but I'm realizing I've never actually asked you for your name after all this time. Story 19. Ask her questions about her name and hopefully she'll slip her name when answering. For example, why did your parents name you your name? Any nicknames growing up? Do you like your name? Or did you like your name growing up? How do you say your name backwards? Did you ever want a different name growing up? What is the meaning behind your name? Story 20. Talk about your name. Tell a story about what inspired your parents to choose that name. Or say you met someone with an identical name to yours. Ask if it ever happened to her. Story 21. Ask for her address and explain that you want to send her a surprise gift. Look up the address in the yellow pages or white pages and search through known people associated with that address, finding the one matching the similar age. Then send her flowers. Story 22. Consider various alternatives instead of asking directly. Go to a coffee shop where they announce the names of those who ordered. Introduce her to a friend. Split the bill at a restaurant and discreetly check her card information. Have her add you on Instagram, as the bio usually includes her first name. Edit. Sorry, I am a woman and didn't realize this was in a men's advice forum when I commented. Came up on my feed. Story 23. Okay, so I had this issue with a guy whom I was entertaining. I invited him over and coordinated with my friend so she would be leaving as he showed up. She introduced herself and he did the same. Story 24. Fake amnesia. Pretend to get hit in the head, then immediately ask, "Who are you?" No, but seriously, talk about driver's license pictures and ask to see hers. Story 25. I once forgot my now husband's name. I used to call him pet names and changed all social media to pet names for him. I wound up telling him, and he found it really funny. Story 26. Oh my, I thought of an idea, but it's kind of hard to describe if you don't know what I'm talking about. Have you ever seen those memes that go around, and they will ask like what your stripper name would be? And it would be like your street name and your favorite animal put together. Think of something like that to ask her. Like, say your book character name is your first teacher's name and your first name. I hope this makes sense. If not, I'll just sound crazy. Story 27. Don't. If you don't know her name after 8 months, let her go. Don't mess with her spirit any longer. I would feel humiliated. Just reading this is giving me secondhand humiliation. Story 28. Ask her how she spells her name, and mention that some people spell names differently. I used to work in a job where I met a lot of people, so I would do this whenever I forgot people's names. Story 29. If you share a Google Photos album link with her, and she views it while logged into a Google account, you should be able to see the name associated with that account as a member of the album. I was able to see names of the private owners of my apartment, for example, when I shared photos with the property manager who passed the link along. Story 30. Ask her how to spell her name. If it's an easy-to-spell name, say, "No, I mean your last name." If that's easy to spell, go, "That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure." Story 31. Bring a friend. Introduce her. "Hello, lady whose name I don't remember. This is my best friend, Todd." And then the lady with no name says, "Nice to meet you, Todd. My name is No Name Lady." Alternatively, you could take a secret picture of her and do a reverse image search. Story 32. Do you mean talking, or just seeing each other in the same room and maybe having a conversation once every 3 weeks or something like that? If it's the second one, you can easily just ask and laugh it off. But if you've been talking like every day, just ask to add her on Instagram or Facebook or whatever is popular in your area, where her name will likely show up. Story 33. There was this picture I saw where each letter corresponds to a Japanese kanji, and people were trying to figure out their Japanese name. You can try that and reverse engineer it from there. Story 34. Tell her to spell her name backwards 3 times in a row, write it down, and then pause. Look confused and tell her you forgot the punchline to the joke. Then laugh together because you're an idiot. Story 35. I'm showing my age with this, but I'm pretty sure there was a Seinfeld episode about this scenario. Maybe you could organize a meetup somewhere but have a friend waiting nearby. When you meet the person, that's your friend's cue to come up and say, "Oh hey, original poster. Fancy seeing you here. I was just passing by. Is this a friend of yours?" Your friend then introduces themselves and asks for the name. Exchange some pleasantries, then your friend can leave. Story 36. I once woke up in a girl's apartment that I had known for a while. I always met her drunk, though, so I never remembered her name. Luckily, she had birthday cards pinned to her wall, which I could find out her name from when she went to the bathroom. Story 37. Get out your identification at the pub, put it in your top pocket or somewhere you can take it out later. When you're sitting down, put the card on the table. See if she picks it up to look at it. Then when she has yours, you ask to see hers. Story 38. I do this all the time at work. I visit lots of different places and always see the same people. I get along really well with them while I'm working, but I'm terrible at asking people's names. You just start talking and forget to ask. I just say, "I've just realized, I have no idea what your name is. We've been talking all this time, and I never actually asked." Usually does the trick. Story 39. Did you tell her your name before and forget hers? If that's the case, then come up with a reason to take her somewhere where a name is required and ask her for her full name. If it's someone you see and talk to, like on the train or at a shop you go to, then just ask. In terms of advice, if she doesn't know your name, then start with that. If you introduce yourself, she's likely to reciprocate and respond. That's how I usually get someone's name. I tell them who I am, shake their hand, and 9 times out of 10, they will tell me their name in return. Bonus points if you tell them your name and something quirky about yourself as an icebreaker. For example, "Hi, I'm Ned and I only have one nut. My friends call me Ned One Nut. Story 40. Tell her you are actually a Nigerian prince looking for someone to hold money for you in a low-risk venture and request her identification and banking details. Easy. Story 41. Wear a mustache and glasses combo and a trench coat. Get on your friend's shoulders so she doesn't recognize your height as well. Then ask her for the time and somewhere between there sneak in. And what's your maiden name, madam? Story 42. I'm so interested as to why this is a question. Like, I purposely don't ask for a woman's name the first time I meet her. Free advice for you all. One of the best ways, if not the best way, to tell if she's really interested in you is because she will ask for yours and give you hers. But 8 months? Goddamn. Story 43. If you know her in person, have her sign a card for someone's birthday or something. If it's through text or online only, tell her you have this cool idea and you need her full name and birthday. The birthday is just to divert attention from you asking for her name. Story 44. Ask her, and when she says, "What? You don't remember?" make a huge deal about her trying to manipulate you into believing that she never told you. This is exactly what your crazy ex did right before you cheated on her. Mention that just because some guy or a judge or whatever told you not to go within 500 feet of a school, it doesn't mean you should have to change your traditional walking route past your cousin's memorial. You can't believe it's been a month since the trial, and your aunt still hasn't gotten over it. So selfish. You got off on a technicality, but people have still been giving you the cold shoulder since that day. You regularly do 12 beers before noon, can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, right? And never had any problems before or since. The only reason he was with you was because he had the prescription for the gonorrhea medication you needed to take. It burns way too much if you can't get the medication.